Hey guys, great week so far. After my 14-day experiment, I went right back to keto and feel a lot better than what I did. I have a new experiment coming up on the first, and I'll share that with you guys after I a little bit when I'm ready to talk about it a little bit more. I've noticed a few things over the last like couple weeks of trying to stay away from certain topics and things on the internet. Um, One of the things that I notice is the chronic position of us trying to put ourselves up against other people. I've noticed that. You roll this window up. I've noticed that we are constantly putting ourselves up against other people's weight, and we're trying to look at where other people started and where other people finished. And it's like you always try to convince yourself that you got to be first, and this is me trying to be as like sincere as possible. You don't have to be first, and you don't always have to achieve more than the next person. um, One of the things that whenever topics come up online is when you say something that you believe, or an experiment that you had, or a conversation that you talk to somebody about, whatever it may be, you always have those select few people that they got a better idea, they got a faster way. And I think some of that is human nature. As a mechanic in the shop, I might have a conversation with another tech, and it might go something like, "Hey, that dash recall, when you pulled that car in and you changed out that airbag, you know, I noticed that it took you a couple hours to do it or whatever. I found a better way to do it. I found a way to do it in an hour." It's like chronically in life, we're always trying to be number one. Is it human nature? I think to an extent it is, but does it have to be? No, because what happens when you try to rush through things in life? The very building blocks of what you're trying to achieve falls apart, right? So, as a tech, if I'm trying to rush through a job on a customer's vehicle and I'm replacing their airbag, I pull apart that whole entire dash to get that airbag out of there, and I could leave something unplugged. I could break something in the process of putting everything back together, because I'm trying to be number one. It's like we try to be number one all the time. With our health is the same way. You see, Stephanie has lost 140 pounds, and you've been doing it twice as long, but you've only lost 60 pounds. But you want to get down on yourself, and you're hard on yourself about it, because you got to try to beat that person. You got to try to do at least as much, if not more. And it's like all the time you feel like, I got to be number one. I should be a further than that person. I should be further ahead in life than that person. And it doesn't really work that way. And here's an example of what I'm doing lately that seems to be working for me. And I'm going to use an analogy when I'm done explaining what's working for me right now. I've separated myself from all the big names. I don't follow Dr. Barry no more. I don't follow anybody that followed Dr. Barry anymore. I don't follow any of the people that are affiliated with Dr. Berg or Thomas DeLauer. I don't get involved with a lot of the medical studies and stuff anymore. I have completely separated myself from all that stuff, and I'm doing my own completely different thing that some people think is a little radical, with my experiments and stuff, and how I'm trying to figure out the truth about certain things that happen inside the body on my own, and the lab testing and stuff I'm doing. But it is what it is. I've separated myself from all of the people that were putting information in my head so I can build my own basis and try to figure out exactly where I want to go with my life and nutrition and things of that nature. And it's actually lifted a lot of stress off of me, not having to listen to so many different people. It's actually given me a little bit of freedom and sense of me, just being myself again, instead of having to listen and follow criteria by other people. When I separate myself from the craziness and the carelessness of other people and what other people do, I notice that I'm able to focus on my life that much more. And I don't feel like I have to be first. I don't feel like I have to come out with the next best piece of information or the next best video or something like that, or I got to be the first to release this information. I separate myself to where I can build on my very foundation of understanding and learning and stuff. And the analogy that I'm going to use is, I picked up a bunch of technical guys from India when I was driving Uber, and they're big in the IT world. They run different IT departments all over the world. They come in, they do a bunch of training, they train people and stuff. And we were on the highway, and they were talking about all this technical stuff. Some stuff I did understand because I am a tech in the field. I do have to do computer programming and stuff like that on a lot of these more sophisticated vehicles and troubleshoot things of that nature. But some stuff I will admit I had no idea what they were talking about, especially when they started getting into the multiplexing side of electronics and things like that. I understand some, but they were losing me. And we got into the way humans adapt to things and the way they do things. And we started talking about overachievers and where you want to go in your life and stuff like that. And I said, here, I can show you something on the highway, you know, and I'm going down the highway, and I stopped on the highway here right now to make this video so I could show you guys that what happened to me was like deja vu. I'm coming down the highway again today, and I'm in the middle lane, and there's a car coming up next to me. And I said, I remember doing this experiment before, and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to separate myself from that person's view. I'm going to move over to the right lane, and I'm going to slow down, and I bet you what ends up happening is that person almost feels like they don't have to pass me anymore. They don't have to. I'm already going 75 miles an hour. They feel like they need to get past me, and we got open highway. There's no traffic or anything right now. I mean, you could go 80, 90 miles an hour. But the human mind, when we see people ahead of us, we always think we got to pass that person. And I brought this up in front of these IT guys. I said, I'm going to separate myself from this middle lane. I'm going to get over, and I'm going to slow way down. And I almost bet you that car that's been slowly increasing 2 or 3 miles an hour at the same rate, slowly getting closer and closer to me, I bet you they slow down. And I bet you they almost start to trail back and get behind me, because now I'm no longer in that field of view. Now I'm not a threat to them having to make a lane change or something like that. Now I'm not in their mind anymore. When I'm not in their mind anymore, all of a sudden things start to back off to normal. And sure enough, I've got this like Chevy Equinox that's coming up real slow, only going like 2 miles an hour faster than me, and it was just creeping and creeping and creeping and creeping for miles and miles. And I go to pull over. I get myself out of that person's field of view, and I back up and I slow down completely, and guess what happens? They slow down, and they get over, and they start to drive at safe speed again. I'm not in their field of view. I almost don't feel like a threat to them anymore. They don't have to achieve this passing purpose when we're already going 75 miles an hour. And then I started to speed up again. I got back over in that middle lane. I started going back to the same speed that I was. Guess what happened? They started increasing that mile or 1 to 2 to 3 miles an hour, getting closer and closer and closer to me. It's almost if they see me in their view, they feel like they have to pass me. If they see me in front of them, they have to achieve the success where they have to be in front of me. And we constantly do this in life over and over and over again, no matter what it is, because somebody else is ahead of us and they have to achieve more than the next person when there's no purpose behind that. You still have to live your life. You still have to figure out what works for you. You still have to learn so much more about yourself that you haven't even learned yet. But you're learning so much about somebody else because now you're putting yourself in their problems. You're putting yourself in what worked for you, what did this, what did that. And a lot of people will message me on Facebook and say, hey, wait a second, I've seen that you worked with so-and-so and they lost all this weight and stuff. What did they do? What does it matter what they did? What they did is probably not going to work for you. What they did is probably not even going to make you happy. What you find out about yourself and what you figure out, because you're your own experiment, is what's going to make you happy. When you figure it out and you use a basis of good quality information and you move forward slowly in your life with nobody else in your field of view, when you're not trying to achieve something that somebody else is doing or passing somebody else, that's when you're going to be happy. When you can get out of that fast lane and stop trying to pass everybody else and focus on your life and slow down a little bit, is when you are going to achieve success. You don't always have to reach more than the next person or be further ahead in life than the next person. What you have to do is work on your foundation where you're at and make it stronger so you can achieve a further goal in the long run, a stronger foundation in the long run. And who cares if it takes you longer? That's not up to anybody else to decide. That's not up to that next person in line to decide. That's up to you. Slow down, guys. Relax a little bit. Enjoy your life. Figure out what you need to do. and worry about you. Don't always try to achieve more than the next person. I see even YouTubers doing that. "Oh, I've only lost this much weight. I've only lost that much weight. I've only got this many subscribers. I've done it before, and I need to quit doing that." And it makes no sense that as a human body, we're always trying to push more and more and more so we can be further and further ahead than the next person. Who cares? I've quit doing this about 3 weeks ago, to where I try to take people out of my field of view and worry about just me and me only, and I've been so much happier, so much less stress going on in my life. Focus on you. Just really focus on you and let other people out of your life completely that don't belong there, and don't look at that next person that's further ahead than you. I mean, some achieving where you're trying to reach the next goal is normal, but where you focus on every single day you wake up and, "Oh, I didn't lose no weight yesterday. I got to get on that scale. Oh, I ate five too many carbs today. Oh, man, this person over here has did all this, and I can't even get close to them." Quit. Focus on your life. Slow down, build up your foundation, figure out what you're doing. Experiment a little bit if you have to. You don't have to do the same thing over and over again if it's not working, because, that's insanity. Focus on you. Have a great evening. Thank you.